Good evening there, Lorain City, Lorain County. How's it going? I'm not sure if we'll have any visitors tonight or not. I'm doing a late podcast, but I figure you guys can watch it later if nobody shows up. So, in the meantime, I'm gonna bring up a couple of documents here that I've been working on, and we're gonna go over some things. Um, we're gonna discuss tonight's city council meeting. We're going to discuss the fact that I've been vacant or kind of gone for a little while. Well, I mean, not really discuss the fact that I've been gone, just kind of go over some stuff that's happened since I've been gone. But I just kind of wanted to touch base a little bit to kind of go over like tonight's meeting. There was a lot of discussion about, I saw the town hall, was brought up again by Jane. There was some discussion from the powers that be again about decorum in meetings and who, what, when, where, why, who can speak, how they can address people, this, that, the other. And so, in the grand scheme of things, I get it. They want to control the narrative. They want to control the meetings. I want to discuss a little bit about the apparent hijacking of tonight's meeting. I mean, it honestly seems like there was some stuff going on, like not hijacking, I should say, but just some people seem to have some plans about how they were going to move forward with the meeting, because then they would approve a 3 reading rule and then they would unapprove a 3. It was weird. And so in the grand scheme of things, I kind of like to talk about that a little bit, and then we'll get into public meetings, legal meetings, and all that good stuff too. But first off, I want to just say, so I know there's been a lot of talk about the situation that's gone on over here on Homewood now. I know my council person, Seat Warner, didn't discuss it tonight, and but other ones did. I know Mary did. I think it was Mary. Maybe it wasn't. No, it was. No, it was one of the other council people brought it up. But the bottom line is that I responded to that area. I spoke with people in the area. I spoke with neighbors. I've spoke with family members of the individual who was unalived. And so I know there's still an investigation going on, as it was stated out loud in the meeting. But, the Lorain Daily was on top of it from the start. And since it was, right around the corner for me, I responded and spoke with people in the area. And then myself and the Lorain Daily asked for the police to give a statement. And so once we got the statement, we went ahead and put that out. And since I put it out from my page, I got a call from 19 News, and Nicole at 19 News, I think it was, wanted to know, what I knew. And so I shared what I knew. And, I'm not going to go into detail about what happened there in this podcast, because this isn't the time or the place right now. I just want to say, no matter what, I'm sad that someone lost their life. I don't know that I would use words like vigilante justice or categorize any action of defending one's home or following Ohio's stand your ground laws, though, as vigilante justice. Now, I'm not saying that this particular case has anything to do with that, because, again, we don't know anything about this case, right? We don't know until the police finish their investigation, if it really was a B&E and how that plays out in the grand scheme of things. What does that look like? Was it, something else? Was it a drug deal gone bad? Was it just wrong place, wrong time? Was it someone lured there? Was it, there's so many questions that have to be asked and answered before we can come to any conclusions about that. What I can say is a man lost his life and someone else had to take it. And I feel, well, I don't feel a whole lot of anything, but I would say my condolences are to the people, the family members of the individual who was unalived. I know at least one person who's a cousin of that individual who I spoke with, and I passed my condolences on personally to that individual. And then, I also wanted to say that I'm sad that this person had to be put in that position to do that. The person that had to do that, and I'm sad that they were in a position to have to be the so-called good guy with a gun, and in someone's existence because of whatever was going on there, which again has yet to be determined. We don't know anything. So any of those discussions will need to be tabled for a later date. What does concern me is the amount of those types of incidences that have been occurring. The fact that we've had numerous, shootings. Okay, sweetie, go lay down now. Please lay down. We've had numerous shootings in the areas all over Lorain, and the summer's not even fully here yet. And so, to the point of the people at council, yes, we have some crime issues that we need to deal with. One might argue that we could use a little bit more patrols on Southside. I don't think Southside's bad per se. I mean, I know this just happened here, but if they could fix the streets so that they wouldn't damage the police cars, maybe we could get more patrols in the area and curb any of these types of issues from happening. For the most part, all the issues we've had over here have been like the occasional break-in and things like that. But this brings a whole new light to what we're dealing with, and so as they say, do the job you're working for. So as somebody who believes they're going to be your future ward representative, I would be more concerned about this shooting on the south side than I would be concerned about, say, I don't know, motorcycle rides to DC. And while I can appreciate and understand that, the summer leagues are starting for baseball, and it's amazing that they're doing this, and all the things that all the different people on council and Jane and all these other people have done, the thank yous have just got to stop at council meetings. Like, we're going to get into talking about what is and isn't allowed, but it cracks me up that you guys will stay. You can't say anything bad about us, but you guys are allowed to compliment anyone and anything about anything that goes on in the city consistently at those meetings. So that being said, I want to get into that. I mean, I know we've talked about this stuff ad nauseum. I've written about it. I've talked about it. I've discussed it. Free speech in public meetings, legal boundaries, and case law protection. So I put a little fact sheet here together. A lot of it I'm going to be reading a little bit, kind of defining this, because I believe that there are some statements to be said. If you look at it from one standpoint, just through the violation of the Open Meetings Act, or if you look at it through another lens, maybe you're looking at it through the constitutional lens of freedom of speech, or maybe you're looking at it through the legal lens of, violating an open meeting or whatever they call it, that kind of a law. All right. However you choose to look at it, each one has its own, specific set of viewpoints. And the main one that we've all been focused on, including council, has been the violation of the Open Meetings Act, as well as viewing, the rules of council on top of the current case law in regards to how it regulates open meetings and what they can and can't do, and yada, yada, yada. So I kind of wanted to delve into that a little bit. And then just discuss what they discussed tonight. So number one, we're going to do a little introduction here, the limits and protections of public comment in Ohio. So public comment periods in, let me see if I can get this bigger. Oh, there we go. That's nice. Getting old sucks. So public comment periods at city council and other governmental meetings sit at a crossroads of two important legal doctrines: the Open Meetings Act and the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Now, while Ohio law does not guarantee a right to speak at public meetings, once a public body like the Lorain City Council allows public comment, it opens a what we call limited public forum, and so governed by it's governed by constitutional free speech protections. So in this forum that they've now created, government can adopt content neutral rules to preserve decorum and order. All right, that's kind of what they're doing here, but it cannot censor or exclude speakers based on their political viewpoints, criticism of officials, or so-called abusive content. Now, the Open Meetings Act, so the legal definition of public meetings and the role of the Open Meetings Act. So the Ohio Open Meetings Act is covered under RC 121.22. It requires that all meetings of public bodies be open to the public. However, it does not require public participation. Okay, so they don't have to let us participate. Only public observation. The landmark Ohio Supreme Court case, which was a state ex-realtor, Cincinnati Post versus City of Cincinnati in 96, clarified that meetings include any prearranged series of discussions among a quorum of members that addresses public business. This prevents councils from using serial back-to-back meetings to avoid transparency. The Open Meetings Act ensures that deliberations happen in public, not behind closed doors. And however, it does not mandate a public right to speak. That protection arises from the First Amendment. So those are the two different kind of fields you're playing in there, which, as much as Joel doesn't want to admit it, even saying things from the crowd can be considered a First Amendment protected right. So now the limited public forum doctrine and viewpoint neutrality. So once a public body establishes a public comment period, the government creates a limited public forum. And in such forum, restrictions must be reasonable and viewpoint neutral. The U.S. Supreme Court in Madison Joint School District versus Wisconsin Employment Realtor Commission, 1976, it basically stated that it allowed public comment on an issue and then selectively would silence or confirm that governments cannot allow public comment on an issue and then selectively silence critics. I'm sorry, I skipped over that. It was Minnesota Board for Community Colleges v. Knight, 1984, confirmed that governments cannot allow public comment on an issue and then selectively silence its critics for the third time. It's a charm. Now, while the government can set rules for time and place and manner restrictions, it cannot bar citizens from expressing disfavored or dissenting views. That's kind of important. So, First Amendment case law, you can criticize government officials, period. That's just a fact. Several key federal and state cases have confirmed that citizens have the right to criticize government officials during public comment. Okay, so this is speaking on when Joel says, basically deleterious comments. You won't be able to, say mean things about anyone. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. In the government, when you're up here, we'll say all the nice things. I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounce off me, sticks to you. But I got a hand made of glue, so what if you say something nice? I can reach out and grab it. Kind of a thought process. Don't say bad things about us, or we'll shut your mic off. Well, both like I said, the several key federal and state cases have confirmed citizens have a right to criticize government officials during public comment. I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but it's Isan v. Madison Local School District Board of Education. The Sixth Circuit in 2021 struck down a school board rule banning personally directed or antagonistic comments. Okay, so the Sixth Circuit held that these terms constitute impermissible viewpoint discrimination. So Joel, when you say, we can't criticize other members of the government while we take our time to speak, you're actually doing viewpoint discrimination and violating the very rules and laws that we discuss and you were discussing as far as the Open Meetings Act goes. Acosta versus City of Costa Mesa held that speakers cannot be removed from public meetings unless their conduct actually disrupts the meeting. That was the Ninth Circuit in 2013. Norris v. City of Santa Cruz in the Ninth Circuit also ruled that even nonverbal political gestures like a silent Nazi salute are protected even if they do not materially disrupt the proceedings. Helmers v. City of Huron, Northern District of Ohio. So here's one close to home. The city paid a $256,000 settlement after police removed a woman who criticized city officials during a council meeting. Her speech was protected. Sound like anyone else that we're talking about? So again, Helmers v. City of Huron, of Northern District of Ohio. That city had to pay $256,000 settlement after police removed a woman who criticized city officials during a city council meeting. So the central takeaway from all of this and these similar cases that the government bodies cannot censor speech simply because it's negative, offensive, or critical of officials. And that's basically what Joel is saying when he starts the meeting. He's sitting here talking to everybody, and let's see if I can find it because Garen had it up. And I'm just like, I don't get it. Why they don't get it. So yeah, here we go.
Not disruptions, not yelling out. This is the time is reserved. The time is reserved for you, the public. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes unless otherwise extended. In other words, sometimes council has voted to possibly give the person more time if they request it. Speakers must sign up prior to commencement of the meeting. Primarily about 15 minutes before the meeting, that's when we do it. Speakers must provide their name, address, and topic they wish to comment. And the reason we ask a topic, we found in the past people come up to the mic and just speak about 20 different things. Try to focus on one. You could come back as many times to the succeeding meetings, but for that one meeting, we ask that you stay on topic. This is council's request, not my request. Speakers will engage on a first come and first served basis. Once you sign up, if tonight we have 4, I believe, so we'll be able to allow 4. The maximum is 10. Once again, speakers will engage in a civil discussion through the chair and refrain from personal attacks, violations, or result in removal from the chamber. Item 8. Council President reserves the right to rule comments dilatory at all times. In other words, let's keep it civil.
So that's key right there. Listen, he's like, let's keep it civil. Don't be mean. Yada, yada, yada. I again repeat. Police removed a woman who criticized city officials during a city council meeting. Her speech was protected and she got $256,000. The central takeaway here from these similar cases is that government bodies cannot censor speech simply because it's negative, offensive, or critical of officials. So once they've opened the floor up, they don't have a choice. But let's go back to what he was saying here.
Finally, speakers are encouraged to use their time clarification of agenda items, reports, concerns, make a suggestion, or announcement of a community events. They should not expect debate or any discussion of a topic. In other words, this isn't a back and forth. You have your concerns, you stated. Council members, the administration, they all take notes. Mayor Bradley has been very diligent about this with council, sending follow-ups to council emails, especially if it's something pertains to their ward or their at-large council people, also the whole city. So please keep that in mind. Like I said, city council here is not a entertainment section. We are here to do the business of council, and we welcome the public to be here. And once again, we just ask for some respect and decorum. Mr. Oster. Good evening. Is this on?
Some respect and decorum. So he's right, I believe, about decorum. Permissible rules, time, decorum, and relevance. So we're going to discuss what he just brought up. So courts have recognized that public bodies can enforce content-neutral rules, such as time limits, like a 3-minute, rule, which they have 2 minutes in Lorain, which limit comments to agenda items, limiting them to agenda items, and barring true disruption, like shouting over others, refusing to yield time, etc., etc., etc. Now, in Steinberg v. Chesterfield County Planning Commission, the Fourth Circuit upheld that the removal of a speaker who refused to stay on topic. In Lowry v. Jefferson County Board of Education, Sixth Circuit, limiting repeat speakers was upheld. But these cases emphasize that rules must be evenly applied and not be a pretext for silencing dissent. And that's where you start getting into these weird areas of, okay, well, if you allow someone to get up and get off their topic on, onto something else, then about something good, then you have to stop what they're doing about something bad. So we look at the idea that viewpoint discrimination disguised as Joel would call it, dilatory or disrespectful speech. So the courts have repeatedly rejected vague rules that prohibit disrespectful, offensive, or dilatory speech, especially when used to silence critics. Now, in Islam, the Sixth Circuit warned that banning speech for being antagonistic or abusive was, facially unconstitutional. In Acosta, the court ruled that offensive content alone cannot justify removal. And in the city of Zanesville v. Jones, an Ohio court upheld removal only because the speaker refused to stop after his time expired and delayed the meeting. That does bring into question certain issues of late. If you look at that particular case and say, well, if it delayed the meeting, then, it could be considered problematic. But council chairs may stop speech that actually disrupts the meeting, but they may not censor comments based on how sharply they criticize public officials. Statements like, "We're not here for your entertainment," or arbitrarily labeling critical comments as irrelevant raises serious constitutional concerns. The Ohio Open Meetings Act and the First Amendment interplay. So, when we look at those two, the Ohio Open Meetings Act protects the public's right to attend and observe. Once comment is allowed, the First Amendment protects the speaker's right to express themselves, including voicing dissent. So arbitrary removal of speakers, especially for criticizing government, may violate both the Open Meetings Act by making the meeting not truly open and the First Amendment by punishing protected speech. Think about that. Before you start having a police state and people were moved by the police for, God forbid, the one thing James said that was right was in the beginning of all of that was that, the police shouldn't be out doing that. And I agree. So the Ohio Open Meetings Act and so how to so now we're going to kind of talk about how they can hold a town hall and still stay in compliance, because I know that was like a big issue, right? Like they kept talking about, and again, let's just discuss that. I get the inference. I get, oh, we're out there being recorded. Okay, you're talking about Garen. I mean, you guys all forget Mary was recording at one point too. Then you turn around and you're like, it'd be an open meeting. So what? You guys, here's the problem, is that since I'm going to have to take you to court in a couple of days because you haven't provided the sunshine law certificates and you haven't given me an applicable reason why or bothered to respond to me. If you've taken these classes, you would know that you don't need to necessarily, there's ways around this. So just your fear of the Open Meetings Act applying to you is unreasonable for a reason not to hold a town hall. And I'm going to tell you why. So cities can absolutely hold town halls. They can hold open, robust town halls, right? Including discussions about crime and public safety. Not a problem. And they can do so without violating the Open Meetings Act, believe it or not, Joel. I'm just saying. And they can do so even if a quorum of council members is present. Imagine that. Now, I'm going to say that a little louder, and I'm going to repeat it again for the people in the cheap seats that didn't hear it. How to hold a town hall and stay in compliance. This is the title of this section we're discussing, right? You heard it here first, LCPU. This is why, I'm running for office, because I'm a font of worthless knowledge, or worthful, depending on what you want to see it as, worthwhile. Cities can absolutely hold open, robust town halls, including discussions about crime and public safety. They can do so without violating the Open Meetings Act, even if a quorum of council members is present. And I'm going to tell you how. Now, if I had a partner over here, I guess I could get the puppet out, but let me tell you how. Tell us how, Aaron. Absolutely, I'll tell you how. So first, number one, post advance notice, right? So provide at least 24-hour notice of the time, location, and subject, e.g., town hall on public safety and crime concerns. Publicly posted on the city's website and in normal, and in its normal, notice in its notice venues, right? Wherever it normally posts notice. 2, keep it on the record. Ensure that the event is open to all residents and let them record, attend freely, and participate equally. How that looks, I don't know. I mean, maybe you hold it in the city council chambers, as I mean, again, Joel might be onto something. Will we really fill the building? I don't know. So maybe we do one and see how things work out. But we hold it in that building. We hold it in that place, because it is recordable. It is the place that they're most comfortable. It's the place we can most, arguably dictate the way this goes. Just keep it open to the public, allow them to record, participate, blah, blah, blah. Make it a special meeting, right? If there's going to be a quorum present, if you're going to have more than, in Lorain's case, more than 6 people present, or 6 or more present, because if 6 or more are present, a quorum, then plan to attend and engage, that plan to attend and engage, you need to treat the town hall as a special meeting. And so what you do is, under RC 121.22, you prepare an agenda and you keep minutes. That's it. Just prepare an agenda for what you guys are going to talk about, even if it's a vague agenda. You put something down in writing. You bring your clerk. You have your clerk document it. And then basically, you're able to still move forward by keeping minutes. And, there's plenty of ways you can record these meetings and then, get the meeting minutes later from the recordings. A lot of us do that. It's just, or you can wait for someone to throw it together for you. Next, clarify that it's a listening session, right? Just clarify it's a listening session. The event can include dialogue and Q&A, but council needs to clarify that no official votes or binding decisions will be made at this event. I mean, again, this is important. The event can include dialogue and Q&A, but the council should clarify that no official votes or binding decisions will be made at this event. So any statements they make cannot be used against them, right? Like, hey, we hear you. We'd like to see this. Sure. Arguably, like, yeah, sure. It sounds like a good idea to put a moat full of sharks around City Hall to protect the people inside. But maybe that's not such a great use of taxpayer money, right? So there are arguments to be made, like why people slip and slide out of things. We don't want to waste money. We don't want to make decisions that are bad. So we don't just listen to everything, right? Designate a moderator or a chair. So assign someone, either council president and Joelle, maybe the safety service director or an independent facilitator. It could honestly be Ray Carrion, or it could honestly be some other independent facilitator. To guide the conversation and ensure equal participation and maintain decorum. I could be your facilitator. I'm articulate. I can direct the conversations and the questions. You should let me run it. I know you won't, but just saying. Avoid side conversations. I mean, again, this is something you guys should be doing all along, and you're not very good at it at all. You suck at it. All of you suck at it. I see all of you whispering, talking, chatting, touching each other, having conversations. Stop touching. So basically, council members should avoid holding private conversations or sidebars, and never break off into like serial meetings. All discussions about public business should occur publicly. So again, if you're doing some, sit at the tables like they did at the town hall with the Lorain City Schools, and don't chit chat with each other unless it's on the mic where people can hear you. Then all discussions about public business should occur publicly. And in the end, you enforce time limits, civility, and structure, but do not suppress viewpoints or cut speakers off for criticizing officials or expressing frustration. And you must apply all rules equally. Again, I'm just going to read the little first 3-line piece of the title of each section. 1, post advance notice. 2, keep it open to the public. 3, make it a special meeting if quorum is present. 4, clarify it's a listening session. 5, designate a moderator or a chair. 6, avoid side conversations. 7, maintain decorum rules. That's it. That's how you hold a town hall, folks. So, I don't know. It's not as hard as they want to make it out to be. Next up, we've got remedies and enforcement. So, by using the last format, it's going to keep, transparency to the fullest. It's going to, respect the constitutional rights of every individual, create a safe space for the public to express concerns while shielding the city from legal risk, which is the big concern, right? So you announce it, you get someone to lead it, maybe not even a council person. I mean, my research says it could be someone like Joelle, but why put yourself in that risk either? Want to just you guys sit present, you can answer questions, you can, talk out loud, but have a neutral third party lead it. Somebody that's going to ask all the good questions, the hard questions, the right questions, who's articulate. Now, that being said, citizens do have remedies and enforcement. So citizens, if they feel that they've been slighted or wronged, they can file a complaint with the Ohio Court of Claims or Common Pleas Court under RC 149.43 and 121.22. I'm doing that right now for public records that they haven't given me. They can file a 1983 lawsuit for First Amendment violations, as in hinders, and that basically would mean that, yeah, that could be interesting. Demand public records for pre-meetings, emails, or serial deliberations. Document all incidents that show patterns of selective enforcement or rehabilitation. So, you got to start requesting the documents, getting all that information out. These are the things you guys can do as the public. You can use laws to go and open, your own cases against the city for things that they're doing. And by doing so, again, maybe like the commissioners didn't like it, but the lawyer, Lee Prue or whatever, was like, I like being educated. I like learning, making sure we're doing it the right way so nobody gets one over later. Like that was said when I think it was Ames came in and found like some unaccounted for monies on the side of Lorain County. But that's the mentality. Like until you know someone, you don't know no one. So conclusions in all of this is that the government cannot muzzle its critics. City councils, including Lorain, they all have the right to maintain order and manage time, but they cannot abuse power to suppress the dissent, ban criticism, or silence political opponents. The law is clear that once a public body opens its floor to comment, citizens have the right to speak freely and on public matters, especially to hold their government accountable. Disagreeing with officials is not disorder, it is democracy. So, and then I go on to cite sources cited, state, Islam, Acosta, all that. So, look, guys, there's a lot to be said both sides of this thing with the Open Meetings Act. Yes, we want you to be able to get through your open meetings. We want you to be able to do stuff, but also, like Jane said, they want to be heard. And while you're not under any obligation to go back and forth with people, it wouldn't kill one of you just to say, you know what, once it's done, say, I'm going to give whatever. It may not be the answer you like, but I'm going to give you an answer the best I can on the information I have at hand that I'm allowed to share. And if it helps, it helps. I just know that in the grand scheme of things, I keep watching everyone do what they're doing. I keep watching everyone struggling and everyone having, issues doing pretty much anything at this point. And so I find it's a good time for self-reflection, folks. Sit back, self-reflect on what's been going on, look at these meetings, and decide if this is the way you want to see your government run. Decide if you want your council president dictating the, again, it's a fine line on the Open Meetings Act because they could just say, well, we're not going to allow comments, and then that would alleviate the problem. Well, it would put a nice bow on the problem for them. It wouldn't really alleviate it for us. It would just cause the public to stew. But in the grand scheme of things, there are ways that they could do what they need to do to manipulate anything, I feel like, anymore. Sorry, I'm starting to get a little tired here. It's almost 1 a.m. All I want to say, folks, is that I watched that meeting, and it was, again, just another episode of Joel splaining, where he's telling everyone in the crowd how they can act, what they can say, how they can address people. I haven't even gotten into the idea of through the chair, like whether that's a legal requirement that you can impose upon a citizen who's not a party to the meeting. I mean, granted, they're there, but that's it, right? So I don't know. I see a lot of confusing side steps with the OMA, with constitutional law, with all these things, and with the way things have been going lately. I saw what appeared to be some sort of a weird little coup with people not voting for three reading rules on some things and then voting for it on others. Um, I just lots going on out there in the real world that there's just too much to answer for. And for people that keep coming by, you get the Tom Williams who come by and like, oh, Aaron's this, Aaron's that. Look, folks, I challenge you to go on, if it's not on my city page, it's definitely on the county page, into the documents and media. And you can find all of these documents from start to finish. You can read all the transcripts yourself. It's all on there. At some point, I'll get around to transfer them all into some sort of a digital host that we can put up online and add them all there. But in the meantime, like, it is what it is. So anyway, I do believe that the majority of what Joel said tonight was legal. I do believe that there are time and place restrictions. I do believe all these things, but I also believe, like, technically once I don't know. It's just a hard one. So when we start looking at public comment and we start looking at who's showing up to have the conversations and directing them to the right people, and that way you start to make money and yada yada yada. But all I know is that I watched that meeting tonight with a little bit of disdain and disappointment at hearing our government once again speaking to us as if we were poor little urchins on the street. I listened to some seat warmer talk about motorcycle rides and little league games. I listened to everyone thanking everyone. I mean, even Jane gets up and is going to do her speech, and then she thanks Mary, and then Mary gets up and she thanks Jane, and you know everyone's got someone to thank. And unfortunately, my streets are a thankless job. Like, I can't even ride my motorcycle out, but you guys got time to be thanking everybody all the time. It's just, mm, mm, mm. So I don't know, folks. I just know that we've all got to hang in there tight. We've got to keep pushing for the truth. If you guys don't believe me, go to the either this page or my Ohio page and find all these documents that I posted. They're all in the documents file. Like, there's a ton of information that is out there on all of us. So I'm starting to get a little dozy here, folks, and I don't want to play this out any longer. So I was going to try to delve a little bit more into kind of what's been going on outside of what I wrote up here on the dilatory comments and whatnot. So we were gonna try to get into let's see. So to Mary's point, Lorain does have noise ordinances. You can look them up online. The information's out there. It's easy to find. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, these are the kind of things people want. They want to see their councilpeople out and about, driving around, Hong Kong, eat. So I do want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Sorry, I'm going a little off the rails here as I get a little tired. So thanks for tuning in as we went over all of this information this evening and discussed what is and is not legal when it comes to restricting free speech. So just remember, just a quick follow-up. If you want to have a town hall and you want to make it legal, again, post advance notice, 1. 2, keep it open to the public. 3, make it a special meeting if there's going to be a quorum present. 4, clarify it's only a listening session. You're clarifying that in city council, right? You guys are like, we're just going to listen. We're not going to answer. So clarify that. Then take notes and don't discuss policy. I mean, and technically you're not, because nothing you discuss would be policy at that point, nor would you be making it policy at that point. But even if you decided to, you could recuse yourself like Nut did tonight, which I thought was odd for whatever he was recusing himself for. Again, keep it open to the public. You have to ensure that the event is open to all residents and let them record, attend freely, and participate equally. I mean, again, everyone wants to talk about recording this, doing that. All Garen did that one day was just get the cat. That's it. I don't know where that came from. Get the cat. Make it a special meeting. So we got that. Clarify that it's a listening session. Got that. Designate a moderator or a chair. So someone to run the show. Avoid side conversations, which you guys are very inconsistent with doing. Maintain decorum rules, which you really need to do. And again, just know in a couple of days I'm filing because you don't have a sunshine law certificate, and you would know all of this if you'd taken the sunshine law classes. I mean, I just don't. I think someone was wearing a hat in city council tonight, like it's business casual. I honestly don't know what's going on anymore with the way things are filling out with everything lately. It's kind of shocking. We've got McCann gone. We've got turmoil. Nobody knows what's going on, so everyone's holding their breath to see what the next shoe is going to drop is going to be. So, yeah, you guys, we're living in a unique time here in Lorain, and I would say if you're not part of this drama, congratulations. Some of us are kind of trapped in it, but sooner or later, it will all have purpose, and we'll move forward, right? So in the meantime, I appreciate you guys tuning in today, tonight, tomorrow, next day, whenever you're going to tune in and checking this out. But, more than likely, it's just I'm having trouble now because I'm tired and I have no more script, right? I wrote the script out covering all of the Open Meetings Act stuff that I wanted to cover, and didn't really pay attention to the other stuff that I wanted to cover. So that would be, hold on. Well, you know what? None of that matters. Like I said, I'm going to take off. So thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. Remember, you can hold a public forum, even if you have a quorum, as long as you do the little steps that I warned you about to do. So thank you very much for tuning in tonight, and we'll see you guys later.